Actually, just last week I got an offer to play a mother, which was a little shocking, on a Nickelodeon show. But they wanted the Persian, in quotations, it was sort of the Beverly Hills jewelry-wearing, you know, type of Persian, and I tried. I thought I could. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get those lines down. I couldn't get the character down, so I turned it down. So I may work less as an actor, but I feel like I've sort of set a precedent, and I sort of have to stick by it.
And if you'd done it, they probably would have like made her a Beverly Hills jewelry-wearing terrorist mother.
Well, we were talking, Sean and I were talking about it backstage, that it's okay, it's the new terrorist.
Yeah, the new terrorist is the gaudy Persian.
The gaudy Persian is the new terrorist.
Right, okay.
Which might be okay because it's a capitalist society and
embracing capitalism.
Why not? Why not? I know that you know, some actors then go to the next level and they say, well, let me just start making my own films. And I know that Ahmed and I, who we've obviously worked together, he just did this documentary called Just Like Us, which followed Ahmed and some of the other comedians, myself included, in the Middle East, and made a documentary showing Arabs laughing in different countries throughout the Middle East, coming to comedy shows. And I actually tell a story about how when our Comedy Central special came out, we went online. Remember that? What was the thing? The guy wrote the email.
From
there was the Sean Hannity website. Some guy wrote an email to another guy saying, I never knew these people laughed.
Oh, right, from August. He was like from Ohio or something.
Somewhere like that, yeah. And so, Ahmed, you've taken that into your hands now to do this film. And so my question to you is, what will people learn, what will non-Middle Easterners learn about Arabs when they watch your film? And also, what did you learn that was different from those audiences, similar from those audiences to American audiences?
Well, first of all, I want to comment on this movie, Not Without My Daughter, because after hearing you guys laugh, I thought it was a romantic comedy. I'd never seen the movie. And I was like, Alfred Molina playing an Iranian guy. I was waiting for Matthew McConaughey to come in the film, save the day, but Maz and I have been traveling around the Middle East for the past 3 years or so, and have had some really great opportunities to work with promoters that have exposed us quite a bit there. And it's really gratifying because the Muslims and the Middle Easterners, and, you know, in some parts in the UAE, you know, Iranians will come out, but it's great because we come back to the States and we work at the Comedy Store here in Hollywood, and a lot of the, you know, non-Middle Eastern comedians are like, hey, you know, where were you guys for 2 months or whatever? And I'd say, well, you know, we were in the Middle East doing a comedy tour, and they're like, oh, great, you know, for the troops. And we're like, no, we were doing it for Arabs. We're like, really, in English? And it's like, yeah, and they're like, they got it? It's like, dude, where have you been, you know? And so that it dawned on me that the people, that the majority you're talking about, the 60%, there was a statistic that was written, or that was created, I can't remember, a few years back, I don't know what it is now, but they said like 18% of Americans own a passport, and 5% is military. So, so that tells you how many people have actually, you know, taken the time and the effort to go get a passport and go see things outside of the United States. So they're subject to see what they see on the news. I felt like I wanted to kind of do something to do exactly what we're doing here tonight, and, you know, going back to Hollywood and being typecast for roles and trying to get parts. It's such a struggle and a sort of a rat race, and you're at other people's will. And I've always knocked on the doors of the Middle Eastern and specifically Arab and Muslim community and said, hey, it's up to us to you know, dispel the stereotype. You can't wait for people in Hollywood to do it. They're not going to do it. And it's proven. Like, you haven't really seen any major films out there from a studio that said, hey, we want Arabs to look good. We want Middle Eastern people to look good. We want Muslims to look good. You'll never see that. So we did this comedy tour that just happened to line itself up over the course of a month. It went through Kuwait, Egypt, Dubai, UAE, Beirut, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia. And we filmed it. And we were showing the similarities of how Arabs and Muslims in that part of the world laugh and act just like us here, hence the title of the film, Just Like Us. And we're still in the middle of cleaning it up, adding some of the voiceover, and it's still in post-production. We have to color correct it and sound mix it and add the graphics. But we had a screening last Tuesday. Jordan was there. Maz is in the film, in the Saudi and Egypt part of the movie. And it was such a diverse crowd. It wasn't just Middle Eastern people and Muslims in the audience. It was very diverse. And my producer and I were shocked to see where people were laughing and clapping and crying and really buying into the whole idea of this phenomenon that we actually have a sense of humor, but nobody ever decided to unveil it. And so that's what the movie's about, basically. And I think there's like a trailer or a teaser that we brought, but we're still working on it. And Maz is great in it, and all the comics, you know. What we did was we decided to not just make it an Axis of Evil comedy tour. So where most of our tours have been mostly Middle Eastern content, we had, you know, Greek Canadian comedians. We had the first white American comedian. I think they're coming into this building. I always get scared when I hear sirens. We had the first white female comic performing. The first African-American comic performing, the first Italian-American comic. It was an international lineup. And for that kind of humor to cross over into that part of the world was a great juxtaposition of contemporary American comedy and an old culture that has never really embraced that. And so our movie kind of shows that, we hope.
And I think that with the internet, it's amazing now how, you know, you could do a reference about Lindsay Lohan checking into rehab or something, and the Egyptian audiences are like, I know what you're talking about. Like right? It's amazing, right? I mean, it's a smaller world.
You'd see any comic you'd see on Comedy Central, anybody as famous as Jeff Dunham doing the Ahmed the Terrorist bit, who has like 300 zillion hits or whatever on YouTube. They love him over there. Pablo Francisco, Dane Cook, Chris Rock, Russell Peters.
You got Tommy Davidson performing.
Tommy Davidson came from In Living Color. Omar Jalili, who's Iranian British, he came. You know, Maz was there. Ted Alexandro from New York. There's these like Americanized comics for the most part doing material about Starbucks and dating. Okay, and where, you know, you see Muslim women, you know, in Dubai and Lebanon and in all these countries, you know, fully wearing hijab and laughing and giggling, you know, and then people come out of the movie theater, they're like, man, I didn't know that, you know, really, is that okay? And I was like, yeah, it's right there in the film, it's in the movie. You know, that's not a special effect, you know. She's not an actress, she didn't read for the role. She was sitting in the audience laughing. So that says something.
Let's show a couple quick clips. Can we do that? Of I think we have some. Is it Shiva stuff, and then some of this something on this film? Can we do that? See a little bit of both their work, and then we'll come back. Have some tea.
I think you should have a talk.
There's definitely a paranoia which has obviously bled into my life and the lives of other Arabs and Muslims.
What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word Arab or Muslim?
Stereotypes, like the turban.
Oh, terrorist, man. I hate to say it, but it's going straight there.
47% of Americans favor national identity cards for Arabs. Do you think Muslims can be funny?
I think anybody can be funny. That's the best part of being human.
Whenever I get on a plane, I always know who the air marshal is. Yeah, it's always the guy sitting there holding the People magazine upside down, looking right at me. Southwest Airlines, anybody ever go to Southwest Airlines? They are cheap. They're so cheap, when I got on the plane, the pilot asked me for gas money. That's how cheap they are, all right? All my friends were like, hey man, how do you have so many Jewish friends? What about the Jews, and the Muslims, the war and hate, and all that? Tell me about that, man. I'm like, look, if you think about it, both Jews and Muslims have more in common than any other religion ever. Both Jews and Muslims don't eat pork. We don't celebrate Christmas. We both use our pronunciation. We both yell on the phone when there's no emergency.